Winter has officially settled here in Michigan. The days are short and the cold can be biting, but life on our little farm doesn't stop. Today, we're taking advantage of the beautiful sunny day to tackle a few chores. It's cold, but the sunshine warms the air just enough to make it all a little more bearable.
Yeah, 17 chickens are going through quick.
My husband Mike and I are always looking for ways to improve our little farm, and one of our goals this year is to give the chickens a new home outside of the barn. When we first built their coop, it seemed reasonable to use an old horse stall, but chickens are really dusty along with the pine shavings and barn lime. We're thinking a good compromise will be to build them something inside of their chicken run to keep predators from getting to them. I know it's not for everyone, but I love having chickens. This year marks 5 years since we brought our first 15 home, and I really can't imagine life without them. Through trial and error, we've settled into a happy medium, and it feels effortless now. They make me so happy, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Hello. Winston! What do you see? Weird. Last May, we lost our sweet girl, Faith. She was such a gentle soul, and she had a way of watching over our little farm that felt so natural. Now, we're working on teaching our new boy, Winston. We're teaching him to be gentle and protective of the animals. He's not a guardian dog by breed, but neither was Faith. Dogs can be taught to protect their land, and we're slowly helping Winston find his role. At just 6 months old, he's still learning, but we've been bringing him with us when we tend to the goats. The goats are starting to tolerate him more, and I've noticed that he's becoming more cautious and respectful around them. It's a process, but I do have a good feeling about him.
Who's my killer? You are Ratter, I'm Mouser. Yeah, you're the chipmunk killer.
With every new year comes new goals, and this year I've set a personal challenge. I want to rid my diet of processed foods and inflammatory seed oils. One of the first steps I've taken is deciding not to buy any more bread. If we want bread, I'll make it myself. I started with these delicious bread rolls for sandwiches and burgers, and they turned out amazing. I'll link all the recipes down below so you can try them too. It may take a little time to work through the processed foods that we already have, but I'm committed to bringing any new ones into the house. One of the easiest switches I've made is with mayo. I cannot stand the avocado mayo from the store, especially the one from Chosen Foods. No offense, I just don't like it. So I decided to make my own. It was so much easier than I expected, and the flavor is incredible. With my own homemade mayo, I even made coleslaw. And let me tell you, I'll never go back to store-bought mayo or coleslaw again. Everything in the store seems to have soy in it, and this switch has been a satisfying step towards cleaner eating. You gonna help me bake? You gonna help me bake? If you know anything about sourdough, then you know that it leaves you with a lot of discard. And while I do love making discard pancakes, we just don't eat them often enough. So I searched around and I found some recipes, and I decided to try something new: discard crumpets. The first breakfast we usually have when visiting Mike's mom and dad in England is crumpets with Lincolnshire sausages. It's a fond memory, and I thought making these crumpets would be a nice surprise for Mike, like a little taste from home. I'm always looking for more ways to use my sourdough discard. Are you making sourdough too? If you are, I'd love to know your favorite recipes. I've tried quite a few recipes, and while most of them work well, there are definitely a couple that haven't turned out the way I'd hoped. Maybe it's a user error on my part. One recipe I'm really interested in trying soon is sourdough discard crackers. I think they'd be such a good alternative to store-bought crackers, especially since I'm trying to cut out processed foods this year. If you've made them before, let me know your tips. I'm always up for experimenting and learning new things with sourdough. I feed my sourdough very heavily, so my discard is very thick. I've made this a couple more times since this video, and what I've learned is to add a little bit of water. So I should have added a little bit of water to thin it out, and also if you wait long enough, you'll get those bubbles on top like a true crumpet. They turned out so light and airy, and it felt like such a treat to bring a piece of England to our Michigan farm.
Well, good, honey.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's airy. It's just got that crunchier crust, which I think is a sourdough crust.
And I think that crumpets, the ones that I have made, and Warburtons from England, those are chewier.
I think I prefer it.
You like it like that?
I prefer it with the crusty top.
Yeah.
But I like crusty bread. I think this is good.
You just ate.
No, that's what I say.
Are you hungry?
No.
Yes, you are.
No.
Tea and crumpets. It's a yummy afternoon treat for this cold afternoon. They're really delicious, and I think the sourdough adds a nice tangy flavor. Pair it with some Yorkshire decaf bedtime tea and it creates the perfect combination. Winter has its challenges, but one of the things I love most about the season is the slower pace it brings. With the early sunsets, we find ourselves with more downtime to savor simple moments, like a hot cup of tea and the warmth of a blazing fire. It's a perfect way to wind down after a cold day of hard work.
Burn down a little bit. There.
Tomorrow, our Christmas tree comes down, so tonight we're enjoying one last evening with its warm glow. I used to feel a bit sad in January when the Christmas season ended because I love everything about it. The lights, the coziness, the traditions. But over the years, my perspective has shifted. Now I find myself looking forward to the new year, the fresh start, the planning, the goals, and all the possibilities that it brings. It's a chance to dream, to grow, and to embrace what's coming. Sourdough has become second nature to me. I've settled into a rhythm, and I know that if I want bread, my starter needs to be fed at a certain time. It wasn't always this smooth though. I really struggled with sourdough, and it wasn't until I reached out at work and got some advice from a couple of friends that things started to click. What I have learned is that your starter and how you feed it makes all the difference. You need a strong, active starter in a warm place for bulk fermentation to really see success. And once I figured that out, sourdough became so much more enjoyable, and now it's just a natural part of my daily life. When we first decided to try a real tree, I thought it would be a one-time thing, but now I cannot imagine going back to a fake tree. There's something so special about having a real tree in the house, the smell, the texture, and the whole experience of picking it out. I feel like we just put this Christmas tree up, and now it's already time to take it down.
Little full, all set.
This is our 5th year with a real tree, and I have to say it's my favorite so far. We went with the Douglas fir, and it's just beautiful. I had hoped to give the tree to our goats because I know they'd love munching on it, but I forgot to ask the tree lot if they spray their trees. It's just not worth the risk if it's been treated. Maybe next year I'll remember to ask so we can recycle the tree in a way that'll benefit the farm too. Baking isn't for everyone, and sourdough can feel even more intimidating. But when you take a step back and you look at the ingredients in store-bought food, it's worth spending a little time each week to make something simple and wholesome. I get my bread flour at Costco for about $8, and a loaf of sourdough costs roughly $1 to make. It's just flour, water, and salt. It does take patience, but with rising food costs and all the additives and processed foods, the effort feels more than worth it.
Sure. I'll give her a call tomorrow.
I married a chef. Mike is a trained chef from England, and when it comes to cooking, if he's not outside doing chores, he's usually eager to help me in the kitchen. When we decided to eat clean, I knew it would be a big undertaking, but having Mike by my side makes all the difference. Scratch cooking doesn't have to mean elaborate meals, but with a hearty dish like this, many hands truly do make light work. Tonight we're making a comforting beef stew with some stew meat that we picked up from a local farm. Stew meat can be a cheaper cut, it can be a little tough, but when it's slow cooked for hours, it really becomes tender. I especially love when Mike helps with these kind of meals because of his knife skills. They're incredible. He's quick, efficient, and he makes prep work so much easier. Cooking together like this feels like such a meaningful way to end the day. Clean eating and scratch cooking, it will take a lot of dedication and commitment, but I'm up for the task. Recently I discovered that my blood sugar has been running high, so it's time to make a change, not just for me, but for my son, my husband, my family, and to stay healthy enough to run our little farm. One of my goals is to start practicing freezer meals. When I bake or cook something, I'm aiming to double the recipe so that we can freeze half. That way, on nights when I just don't feel like cooking, we won't reach for the phone to call the corner pizza shop. Instead, we'll have a home-cooked meal ready to go. It's one small step towards a healthier lifestyle, and I am excited to see how it will transform our daily life. I feel bad about putting the animals up so early. It gets dark by 5:30 right now, so they're locked up until about 8 a.m. the next day. That's a long night for them, so I like to make sure that they have everything they need and that we spend some extra time with them before shutting things down. On a side note, I dropped my phone in the snow earlier and water got into the microphone, so if the sound seems a bit crackly, that's why. Every night I count my 17 chickens before locking up. It's been a habit of mine for nearly 5 years now. There have been a few times when one was roosting in the barn or got trapped somewhere. Taking care of livestock in the cold has its challenges. Making sure everyone is warm enough and has plenty of food and water is always my priority. The snow and freezing temperatures mean extra bedding for warmth, checking waters to ensure they're not frozen, and keeping shelters draft-free. The cold slows everything down and simple tasks feel so much harder when your fingers are numb. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. There's a peace of mind that comes with knowing that the animals are tucked in safe and sound, and the farm is quiet for the night. After 90 minutes of simmering, the stew is finally ready, and wow, I mean wow. This stew turned out so good, and I really hope that you give it a try. It was so good that we didn't even end up freezing the leftovers as we had planned. Instead, we enjoyed it for lunches the next couple of days, and it was just as comforting and flavorful as the first night. Thank you so much for spending time with us here on our little farm. Your support truly means the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more farm life, scratch cooking, and everything in between. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are some of your goals for the next year?
Oh my word.
Was it good?
Oh, that's good.
Until next time, take care, stay cozy, and we'll see you in the next video. See you next time.